Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to drboystv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. Now, I am here by myself, but we are waiting for our guests to arrive. And so I thought that I would hop on in and say hi to everybody and kind of get you guys started as we wait for Suga T to pop in. Suga T is coming through today. She is the sister of the rapper E-40. But she's more than E-40's sister. She is a bad sister. She's actually doing some really amazing things in the community, and that makes her somebody that is worth listening to on this platform. Now, one thing I want to remind you guys is that this is a platform for intelligent Black people. So if you're not Black and intelligent, and you're not trying to be intelligent, then you are certainly welcome to get the fuck out. It is not a place for just everybody. We're not trying to build a bridge to everybody. We're drawing a line in the sand. That means that we are building the community. We're building the future. We're going to make the future great. And if you want to come along, then come along. And if you don't want to come along, then that's okay. You can get along with somebody else because we are not here to fit in. We are not looking to be mainstream. Mainstream is lamestream. Mainstream is backward. Mainstream is toxic. Mainstream has destroyed you. Mainstream has harmed our people for a very long time. So why in the hell would I ever want to be mainstream? In fact, I've heard people say things like, well, Doc, one day, if your show gets big enough, you'll be on TV, you'll be mainstream. And I'm like, why would I want to do that? I'm not mainstream. We are the stream, baby. We are the one and only stream. Okay, so do your own thing. All right. So anyway, I see we got some E-40 fans in here, and give me a yes or no. Give me a yes or no in the chat if you remember that what I think is the most famous song that Suga T and E-40 did of all time. My favorite song was Sprinkle Me. Anybody remember Sprinkle Me? Sprinkle me, girl. Sprinkle me, girl. So when Suga T reached out, and I'll just kind of give you some background as we wait for it. It looks like she's having some issues with her computer. So I'm gonna give her time to get her mouse situation fixed up. And who knows, maybe if it never gets fixed up, then I get to tell my favorite E-40 Suga T stories. So I love this family, obviously. I love Suga T for the great work that she's doing in the community. I love E-40 as well because, in fact, when me and Alicia came out to our wedding, we came out to the E-40 song called Choices. And Willie D was in our wedding, and Willie actually said to me, he said, man, you know, Willie talk. Willie said, man, if you had told me that was the song y'all was going to come out to, I would have got E-40 on FaceTime. And I was like, oh, man, that would have been so cool. So I have a lot of respect for the family and the talent. And one of the things that Suga T mentions, and she's going to come in a second, looks like she's in the background, so I'm going to wait till she's ready to go, is, you know, she brings up something that a lot of us don't talk about in terms of what about the women? You know, what about the women in hip hop? You know, we talk about the guys all the time. You guys have seen Ice Cube come through here. You've seen Willie D come through here from the Ghetto Boys. You've seen a lot of guys that D1, you know, a lot of hip hop artists have come through here. But, you know, the big question is, what about the women? We can't move forward as a community without the women, right? You need the women. I hope you understand. You can go and lay down with a man all you want to, but you can't make no baby without the women. Do y'all get what I'm saying? Give me a yes in the chat if we at least agree in terms of biology. Do we agree with the biology that two dudes can't make a baby? So we must make sure that our women get the respect they deserve. And Suga T is speaking up for the women. Now, Suga, are you able to hear me? Are you there? It looks okay. It looks like she's here. There she is. She's sitting down. Okay, I'm gonna bring her on in here. How you doing, sister?
Hey, how's it going?
Oh, going very well. So good to see you. So welcome to the platform.
Thanks for having me. I'm here trying to get everything to work right over here.
You know what? You take your time. You take your time. And Queens, we are patient when it comes to Queens. So I'm glad you're here. First of all, you and I have talked quite a bit on the phone, and I got a chance to get to know your vibrant personality up close, and I was super impressed. And so let me ask you this, to start, what part of the country are you in now?
I'm in the Bay.
The Bay, okay.
Bay area. The best part of the world. One of the greatest places where all the ladies pop their bra.
Well, you know what? The Bay is, you know, the Bay Area is my third favorite city on the planet. You know, whenever I go to the Bay, it's like my top three are Brooklyn, because black people in Brooklyn are very pro-black and they just don't give a fuck. Like they're very intelligent too. They're not scared of nothing. I love Black London. London has some amazing black people. And then the Bay Area is top three. It's not even in any particular order, but with the Bay, it's like, because the culture is so unique. And when you go to the Bay, it's like when you're an outsider, you have to, submit to the culture. You have to kiss the pinky ring. I come into the Bay as a student, not as a teacher, because there's so much about the Bay that's so original, from the entertainment to the black history and everything else. So maybe we can start with that. So when people talk about the Bay Area, and if they were to ask you to describe what it was like growing up in the Bay, what would you say?
You know what? We had a pretty well-rounded experience here. You know, you get to see a little bit of this, and a little bit of that. So depending on what you're coming out here to do, you know, it was definitely music-wise. It was a part of history where we have the Gavin. A lot of musical technology enforcers have, come out here and made some innovative moves, and created quite a bit of opportunities for all of us to even be on platforms like what we're on now, StreamYard.
Yeah.
And Google, YouTube, all these places. And so again, we came here, and I'm trying to get comfortable. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. Take your time.
All right. Yeah, and so the Bay is full of a lot of culture, a lot of uniqueness. It's where the Black Panthers came from. So, you have that whole piece, that actually talks about, just really standing strong for the culture. You know what I mean? And just really being serious about it. White, black, blue, and green. And then, and then you of course have this area in which a lot of our were, musical people, a lot of balance, a lot of strong women. It's a lot of changes that have occurred. They've done a really good whipping on us, in terms of just the influences. So, but it's a great place to live. You get to see all the good, the bad, and the ugly.
So what do you mean when you say they've done a whooping on us? Let's talk about that, because you and I had talked about, how much we love hip hop, but there's also sometimes it becomes a love-hate relationship when you see hip hop at its best and then you see it at its worst. What do you mean when you say it's done a whooping on us?
Well, when I say that, I mean, people have changed. It seems that it's more so before, when women were more so celebrated. Now, it seems that we become more of a competition to the brothers, because the brothers ain't standing up, and looking out and really protecting us, and allowing us to stand in the place necessary to help bring balance. You know what I mean? And so that causes a lot of havoc, because of course, we have gatekeepers here who have, created a very strong movement for independence, where you don't have to depend on the typical industry. We actually have machines that were created here that we don't have to, depend on other machines in order to, gain exposure or to bring a particular amount of influence towards our brands. And of course, so it's just been a lot of changes in that way. It's more so male chauvinist driven more than ever now.
Yeah, well, okay, so male chauvinist driven. That's interesting. By the way, everybody, in case you just came in, I'm speaking with Miss Suga T, originally from the Click out of the Bay Area, who's an activist, a business owner, and also she is a hip hop artist, among many things. Do me a favor, everybody, please hit the thumbs up button, share, subscribe button if you haven't done it yet, and welcome our sister to the platform. Everybody just say hi in the chat. Let her know that she's welcome here, and everything's informal, by the way, sister. Don't even worry about, like having to get ready and stuff. This is
I'm like, oh my God, I didn't put this on. I don't know what to wear. I'm like, oh my
God. This is just two positive black people talking, so that it's all good. Okay, so let me ask you this. So you had sent me a text where you seemed enthusiastic about some of the conversation I've had about the BET Awards. I don't think anybody in this chat will be surprised or doesn't have some awareness of how I feel about some of the imagery of the BET Awards, right? Some of it's very beautiful and extraordinary, but then some of it you're like, what the fuck? Like, what is this shit? And it's against the backdrop of a community that continues to struggle. Oh, for the same things we glorify. So you're glorifying, the things that are killing you, and then you're crying when they're killing you.
Right.
That's almost like a mental illness. Like, so that's my 2 cents. So what led you to send me that message, and what were your thoughts when all this was, kind of being discussed?
Well, as you know, Dr. Watkins, first of all, the great work that you do, not being scared or afraid, or just ignoring the fact that this is a serious problem within society and more so our culture. So first, I want to applaud you for that. I've been on that same journey for quite a while myself, which is part of the reason why a lot of people that may have seen me, a lot more in the media, connected to hip hop, they may have not seen me as much, and it's because I'm not just sitting in front of the rap game, because I'm not happy about the game. The culture has changed so much, and it has taken such a beating on my people. I don't care. I'm not against other people, but as you know, we have to take care of our own people, because our own people is our grandkids, our nieces, our nephews, our cousins, our brothers and sisters. It's taken a beating, so bad, on us in the mindset, through the years. I just get sick, dealing with it. So, so first and foremost, as a woman, I'm celebrating 36 years in the game, 20 albums strong, 5 group albums, just to make sure everybody out here that's listening, because when you talk about this stuff, unfortunately, a lot of times these people think, oh, they just bitter, or I'm successful. So let's be clear, I am voluntarily committed to my people. You understand, by purpose, by calling, and by me being a 3rd generation. I raised 2 generations in this game, from the beginning. So that kept me extremely conscious of what I was pushing, what I was doing. At one point, I ran a long 16-year journey from 1984 all the way out to 2000. And in 2000, I became alert, and I said, oh my God, this stuff, it seems like everyone's doing the same thing. I'm not really good at, having the same conversation. I like to evolve. I'm educated. I like to learn and grow. I have these children watching me, in my own home. And rap was to me just like, okay, this is cool. We know we cool. Hey, that's easy for us. But there has to be a little bit more to this than just talking cool and glorifying sex, money, alcohol, drugs, violence, stripping, bragging, you know what I mean, and bullying. And that's what it seemed like all the content was becoming. So that wasn't the first part of it. It was just another side, whereas I wanted to be a lot more balanced and make sure I could survive. Because as you know, in these entertainment outlets, a lot of times, if people have not been in the game as a machine, like myself, we grew up in a record label. So we created the system. You know what I mean? My uncle was the first, he made a record when records were not popular. My brothers and I built a successful family record label, which is why E-40 is successful as well. Today, we are the original first group, first clique, first family, royal family of hip hop from the Bay, whereas he originated from. Suga T, myself, as well as my brother D-Shot and my cousin B Legit. So the first family of rap, just to make sure that the viewers are clear. When you hear the song Hurricane, but you can call me Slurricane. When you hear the song, I want to be sad, that is kids, should I say? As a matter of fact, Dr. Boyce, I heard you talking about some Captain Say, so I know you didn't heard it.
Oh yeah, I know.
I know you know.
Oh, we all know.
That's right. But people tend to forget that you got to remind them sometime, because we've gotten, mentally driven, where history is quickly getting erased right in our face, and especially with the social media element, because it gets to people quicker. You know what I mean? And if we're not careful, it's sad that you got to keep reminding people, but I just want to make sure that you're great, conscious viewers out here are very clear, that of the contribution to history, of the foundation that we started from. So when you hear sprinkle me, ooh, 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 here comes the top notch. Ooh, 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 sugar, sugar. That's my sister. All of those, these are gold and platinum hits throughout the years on soundtracks and on multiple albums. But after so long, for a person who's interested in evolving and understand that there's a bigger purpose than just you being in one lane and only doing that. Now some people scratching each other eyeballs to get in this lane. They'll kill their mama. You know what I mean? Sell their soul, sell their booty, whatever they got to do. You know what I mean? To get in this game. And I just seen that, and I'm like, oh my God, this is a powerful energy here. So let me just back up, because not only, is it information that's being presented, through that energy, but of course, you have to deal with the people who are impacted by it, meaning that when you're everyone is involved. You could be a target. So, you have, men who come to abuse you and take from you and see how they can climb on top. You have friends who turn on you and get jealous, and you have sneaky people that's in your circle that's jealous and you don't know, causing havoc, and then you have people who you came up with that forget about where they came from and who brought them to the space that they're at, that just turns a different way because of the limited amount of personal, spiritual, and professional growth that comes about from this industry. So being that I was seeing and witnessing all this, I had pulled back and I wanted to watch from afar. You know what I mean? And bring forth a balance. And I stepped back and I looked and I said, wow, this is slavery. And at the time, I didn't understand the word programming, but I did understand. I called it hypnotized at the time. And I said, these people are going to be hypnotized, from this stuff. So let me see what's going on. Let me see, because I'm not sure if I want to play this game of helping enslave my people. That's what it boiled down to.
Well, I think that's a big point you just made. And everybody, I'm talking to Suga T. She, you know her from the Click, from the Bay Area. And I love how you gave the whole history of it all. I know you sparked. I didn't know Be Legit was your cousin. I saw where E-40 and Be Legit just did an album not too long ago, and where they have the drum. It looks like an 8th grade picture or something where they got the big drum. And I listened to that. Alicia and I listened to that album. When we're out running and stuff like that. So we love it. We love it. And I tell you what, it's you said a lot that made me think. Right, you talked about the word programming. And I think it's important that for those who are listening, that we help them to understand how that works, how the subconscious works. Now you and I are educated, right? I know you got your masters and all kinds of stuff, and you're a businesswoman. So maybe those who haven't, sometimes it takes that extra training to really understand what they're doing to you, right? Where you realize that they're playing chess, and they got us thinking that we're supposed to be playing checkers, and we are getting screwed. That programming is heavy. What they do to your subconscious mind is heavy. Can you kind of speak to that a little bit?
Absolutely. So, anytime, let's be clear. I'm educated. I have a couple of master's degree. I have a bachelor's. I have a couple of AAs. I got a variety of certifications. I have a PhD. I am extremely educated in the book knowledge. That book knowledge was for me just something to iron and balance me out and be a good example to my children and those I ran across. And so that people will understand that I'm not winging it. I've been doing business from 8 years old. I was born into businesses. My grandfather was a business owner, and he started me throwing newspapers. He was a pastor of a church. He picked me up at 5 a.m. and, made me roll newspapers with him, drove the car at 8. I had my own car at 12 years old. And my mother and father both worked and ran a business all my life. And so business was a part of me, right? So, and then of course, so I had the experience, because a lot of times, Dr. Boyce, as you know, people live on this I'm so educated thing. But I'm going to tell you, I've seen the most ignorant, educated people, educated fools around, okay? And I said, I'm going to get my education so that I can continue to be me. Because see, if I was just me and I'm talking like this and I'm not speaking every word and buzzword and this and that, then I'd be considered an ignorant rapper, because they know I rap. You know what I mean? And I look 30 when I'm 5 decades in this thing. You feel me? And so I did it because I wanted to, one, do it for myself, prove a point, and it was something I can control. While I was in the midst of realizing that there may be something that I could not control out of this music industry. So let me make sure I back myself up, because I did not want to become vulnerable like most of these people are now, and while they're walking in fear because they only chased one thing in their life. And now they feel like they got to turn around and let them stick them in the butt, to get somewhere. You feel me? So knowledge is the key, and understanding is our power. And that has what has been taken away from us through this programming. And so in this programming, when you that are listening, let me explain to you, as you know, balance means everything. Now, we could talk in the psychological aspect where we could talk about classical conditioning. Classical conditioning, okay? Classical conditioning is what we see around us socially. You understand? So if we're only seeing things that are in our face or around us at one capacity, then we're in most cases going to follow that same format and think that that is the way of being. Eventually, it's going to turn into what you call a conditioning. And this is a part of what is going on, what has happened, what you're talking about, what people don't understand, and what I've been talking about since 2000. Okay. Now, let me give you another aspect. When we don't balance this out, when we don't continue to add on the other side of where our mind is being impacted, or where the seeds are being sowed, and we don't have that balance, and in some places, faith come by hearing, and hearing by the word of God. We can look at it from that aspect. Or we could take it to, because people hate religion. So we could look at it that way, because I respect the game now, or we can look at it from a scientific perspective. So here we go. For you who hate religion, from a scientific perspective, we can use the Bandura doll. Okay. That was remember that experiment, the Bandura doll experiment? Yeah.
No,
Oh, I loved it. The Bandura doll was another experiment in psychology that was presented. And if you look it up, it's called the Bandura experiment. So they had dolls inside of a building, okay? And they all was in a classroom, and they put these little kids, little babies that were able to watch TV and have enough sense to know they're watching TV. And then they had dolls on TV fighting each other. Okay. Wow. And they left the dolls in that room for a certain amount of time to watch their TV. And then when they turned the show off, guess what the dolls was doing? I mean, the kids, the babies were doing, fighting each other. Okay. Come on. You see what I'm saying? So that's another form of conditioning for you who are listening. Let me give you a deeper view of this. So there's another experiment. I'm going to take the science because people hate God, so which is ignorant. But the bottom line is, and I know what that's about. So it enlightens your soul. So anytime you're illuminated in your soul to the truth, there's something that fights that energy. So the bottom line is I'm going to keep it on the scientific view. So the other side of this scientific view is this. There was another form of conditioning where a dog was salivating, okay? And remember that one?
You're talking about Pavlov's dog.
Come on. Remember that? And
yeah, go ahead, please.
The more they seen it, the more the dog, the dog was salivating and just was tasting it in their mouth. And that's what the programming has done. They continued, and it became even worse because it started, coming through the internet. So now everywhere you look, you see booties. You see, you see people having fun. You see the Sweet 16 parties on the reality shows where people are, $20,000 spent on $20,000 on something. So now you got the mamas. They mad at mama now because mama, you mean to tell me you ain't gonna spend $20,000 on me like this girl on TV? Well, why should I respect you? And look at our house. Look at our little bitty house, not knowing that most of them houses are made at an angle, and they probably was the same size, if not smaller, the house that they was in and rented or Airbnb. You know what I mean? So my point is this is that salivation. It starts pulling them and making them want more, and it starts psychologically taking them off balance to the truth and what makes sense. So they make terrible decisions based on that. So now we've had a whole, we've had a couple of generations of this programming that has hit us from so many different angles. You know what I mean? From the family structure, to the understanding of our mentality. It is definitely a mental illness. Okay. The mental illness, a part of it is narcissism, self-destructive behavior. Okay. And a lot of that comes from the glorification of worshiping and idolizing the wrong things at the end of the day. Because now
Mm.
you're idolizing something that's in your face every second that looks like the prize, and you didn't forget about what's around you and what makes sense. The people that really love you in real life love you whether you funky, change your funky diapers. You know what I'm saying? Fed you, stayed up, worked hard to keep something around your house, kept you, protected you, and now you're getting out of face with them because you're chasing this salivation, of this foolishness that's being thrown in your face every which way. So we got an off balance thing going on here. And this thing has built up over the last 20 years. And that's just one layer to it. You know what I mean?
Well, everybody who's watching, this dynamic, intelligent black woman I'm speaking with uh, goes by the name of Suga T. And Suga T, your real name, give everybody, it's okay to talk about your real name, or you just stick with Suga T?
No way, honey. Suga T, 20 albums in, your girl
Okay.
Sugar, in the place to be. I'm from the Bay where the ladies pop they broad, cut from a cloth where you would never get it raw. Sick with it, you know what it do. Vallejo all day. Ooh, 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 ooh. Boss ladies, pop your bra. Straight jack will make them think I'm hella raw. You know why I still do that? Is because with me being an older, generation female, a lot of times they try to convince us that it's over for us when we get a certain age, because we're not willing to continue to have the same conversation. A lot of us evolve, a lot of us get wise and smart, a lot of us want to grow, in which, as you all know, that's the purpose in our life, is to come here and evolve. And unfortunately, just like technology evolved, the mindset of the gatekeepers and of the people who got fearful and left their foundation did not evolve. They thought that they had to still push only the young generation, and they had to act young and youthful and foolish in order to, to maintain some credibility in this game. So it's all about who, it's all about money and muscle. You know what I mean? So I make sure that people are very clear that I get down, you know what I mean, all day long. I got a song called Clean Up. Get out your feelings so you can get it right. I got a song called Flowers. This is how flowers go. It goes, flowers go, flipping burger, straight lace, no chase with fake faces. Real ones identify me a different way. It's TT base late all day. Took a break for a second. You slipped in the game. Some of you chicks controversial way, and some of you chicks open up your legs, and some of you dudes act just like chicks rocking skinny jeans, male politics. What you doing right now already been done. Willie for the buffoon coon, write your songs. Is you a hater, a man who hate women? I'm a shamer, will become the rap game. Selfish, bust the chicks and chicks study hating, got the females in the rap game fighting for one space. Now everybody want to be a rapper. They made the game accessible. Now everybody rapping. Or the real ones stand up, fist up, drinks up, turn up. All the fake ones man down, back up, fall back, turn down. Give me flowers because I'm here to stay. You know what I mean? So you gotta, they got twisted. You see what I'm saying?
Let me stop you, and everybody, can y'all please give her a digital round of applause? I see y'all responding. Let this beautiful black woman know that how talented she is. She knows it. She ain't got no self-esteem problems. I can tell that, but y'all need to make sure y'all recognize that they have more than one talented artist in the family. Y'all know what E-40 can do. God bless him. He's amazing. But y'all need to hear this too. I mean, I love it. And you know what was really what I really like about what you said. And I'm gonna share something personal that relates to exactly what you said about people making women believe that once you hit a certain age, your relevance ain't there anymore. They do it a little bit to us as men. Like when I say the Migos. So I think I was talking about the Migos at the BET Award. I said, those motherfuckers to me, they sound like if you get a group of kindergartners together and say, make up a song in 2 minutes, and then I want y'all to do the song together, and they all right? Like that's what they sound like to me. They sound like crazy children, right? And they spend like 45 minutes on each song, right? So if somebody says something like, well, you just don't get it because you're young, I said, don't pull that shit on me. No, this ain't a young old thing. I know a lot of young artists who are looking at this and saying, what is this? How ignorant do I have to be to get any sort of shine on the work I'm doing? So I think that we have to kind of talk about that a little bit to just at least make sure it's clear that everybody ain't down with the ignorance. It's crazy.
Absolutely. You know what, I heard you on one of your shows, Boyce, when you had said that, and it is the truth. You know what I mean? In terms of they just this is another conditioning And this is a vice to make everybody continue to be ignorant. We are living in a narcissistic mindset. As you know, this world has been bamboozled and witchcraft, okay, to be narcissistic and foolish, to look over there while they over here, okay, plotting and getting theirs done and getting it in for real though, right? And there's some stuff we just can't control, but we can control a lot if we're aware, right? So a part of this is the woman's voice, like us, the maturity. No, Bryce, you're telling the truth. It's the truth. And the sad part is they are all new artists doing what we already did. This is the problem. But see, they get to slip them in these new generations' face all the time, and they're more available now because you see them everywhere on the internet and play all these vices and do all these things to get the digital media up to part and present it in their faces from all the different ways that they're able to do that. And we end up in a situation where that's all they see. So depending on each generation get a proportion, but they need to be smarter and do their history and their research. You know what I mean? Because pretty soon, if people don't take up their own abilities to check this stuff, then guess what? The Amigos gonna be history in a second. It's gonna be another Amigos. You know what I mean? Yep. And that's gonna be and it's like, hold up, y'all recreating this stuff. I'm the first rap chick in the game. I'm on the West Coast, just in case y'all don't know about it. And the only reason why I ain't sitting down, I'm sorry, y'all, my eyelash, I forgot to glue it on this morning. So
that's all right.
Should have put some more glue on it, but hopefully it ain't leaning too far. But check again. So the beauty of this is, they're not doing anything new. And the thing is this is really played out. So it does sound like kindergarten music. Mm-hmm. It sounds like that to me too. As much as I love to see the women rise, Megan Thee Stallion, Cardi B, all of them sound like kindergartens. They're using the exact recycled conversations that we did years ago. I got a song called Can You Handle This? Y'all look it up. Follow my YouTube, Suga T. My YouTube ain't it's not overly, I didn't pay for streams and all that. So it's not overly, subscribed and all that kind of stuff. But don't get that twisted because we got to learn about quality over quantity or quality over quantity. Okay, it'll be a time when it'll be blinged out, but I ain't have no real reason because I don't rely just on music to take care of me. You know what I mean? I run a whole full out enterprise. So my point is follow me, Suga T Official, Suga T Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. Okay, Suga T. Google me, look up my whole past, and you'll get my history. My point is the same music that they're playing today is what we already played. We already made it. We produced it. It's all online, all through the whole thing. So when you do look at this stuff, you're right. When you listen to the Amigas, when you listen to the new Cardi B, the Megan Thee Stallion, it's really played out. I mean, it's actually old, to us who've seen this stuff already. So that's what you're really saying. That's why you feel like it's kindergarten music, because there's nothing involved and you already seen this stuff.
Yeah, it's like you know what it is? It's really a lot of the stuff that we liked in kindergarten, we still like it as adults. So if you take a song that sounds like a nursery rhyme and you just make it gangster, like you throw in some bullshit, you talk about, drugs and disrespect women and throwing your money away, like people will love that song, and I think that it's one of those things where also going back to what you were saying about the subconscious mind. And I was mentioning this, my wife, that's her area. Like she's a full professor of social work. And so the subconscious is her area of expertise. She did another 30-hour lecture on nothing but the subconscious. And I said, what are the things that program the subconscious mind? Because I need to know what kind of rope-a-dope they're doing on Black people. And she said 3 things program your subconscious mind. Now, I want everybody to think about this in reference to Black people. She said trauma, and Lord knows we got trauma. Second is repetition. Music gives you repetition. Media gives you repetition. And then the third one is symbolism. And if you look at politics, all we get is symbolism, right? We're not going to give you reparations, but we're going to give you a holiday, right? We're not going to make any real changes, but we're going to make you feel good about the fact that we're doing nothing for you. And so it seems to me that there's an orchestrated effort to control our subconscious minds and keep us going in the same direction. Now, let me ask you this. In terms of how you feel as when you were when I was first introduced to you, you were one of the women that seemed to you were part of an era where disrespecting women really wasn't even a thing that was sort of allowed on a broad scale, consistent basis. It wasn't like it is now, right?
Not at
Like,
all.
it's just like suddenly out of the blue, it became bitches and hoes, this, and this. And I remember Queen Latifah saying, who you calling a bitch? And that was a hit song, UNITY. Remember that, right? How does that make you feel as a woman to kind of see what we have a whole generation where it seems like a lot of men just don't even know the beginnings. Like they really think respecting a woman is simping, which is very, very sad. What are your thoughts on that?
That's a great point. And I want to applaud you, Dr. Boyce, on just always respecting and being respectful to your wife. I think that's very important. I'm the same way, and the beauty of it is you understand, in terms of what she's doing and what we do we have a different gift that God gave us to be a compliment, and this is what part of the purpose of this foolishness. And this is what I look at it as, when it comes down to referencing women a certain way, right? This is to me, okay, so let's start from, like I had said, the thuggish, ruggish bone. You remember who? It's the thuggish, ruggish bone.
Yep.
It's the thuggish, ruggish bone.
Oh, yeah, of course,
okay.
Of course.
Right? Okay. So just to be clear, that's where the Amigos style. They were the originators of that stuff. I love that. That's the seed that was sown, and this whole thing is repetitious. As you know, nothing is new under the sun. You know what I'm saying? And it's almost like when you do that, you're taking away the respect of women. And these guys and these people have fallen prey to this being a consistent thing to make this a conditioning. This is what they're seeing. So we have so many layers that are here working for us, and then some that are working against us. In the sake of back in the day, yes, Queen Latifah, she was the first person who stood up and said, who you calling a bitch? It was about representing the queens, and it's about, look, I'm standing up to this. You're not just to just rock like that with me. Then you have the and just in case you guys know, I want to make sure we're aware, because I know I'm talking a lot. And sometimes I have to often tell people my age, voice, because I look so young and I sound so young, and I can take, and I carry on the young thing. You know what I mean? So, the Lord is good to me, right? Because of the balance. And this is what is trying to be erased, is us having balance. So, and this is where the mindset is important, because if you don't stand your ground and stand for something and understand the whole thing, and not just let people just feed you and take what they give you, then it's going to be a serious problem. And this is, again, I hate to reference the Bible, but it goes back. I mean, I don't hate to, but people get mad at it, but it goes back to renewing your mind daily. You know what I mean? And it was put there because the writers of the Bible, the inspiration behind it, already knew that this world and the things around us can take us off track, because there's agendas. That's always, back in Western civilization, the agenda of the church, the government the churches were all together. The government was in the church was in the government. Somebody came in with their own agenda and they started pulling stuff apart, you know what I mean? And creating all the havoc. And this was the wise people who were behind and inspired to write this Bible. This is part of why this content is there. So this is just a form of content, not religion, everybody, because people get mad about religion. So then you have other books, the Quran, you have other materials and information here that is giving us information to have power. The power is in us having knowledge. The knowledge and the wisdom and understanding in our mind comes from our mind being properly activated with the truth and with the information and the knowledge that's going to balance us out and give us the survival tactics. So when you shut the woman up, somebody like me, I'm considered, and this is the thing about the West Coast that I'm telling you about that has transpired, is our culture now have become more of control and bully and power and money and muscle. You get what I'm saying? Instead of saying, let me make sure we hold up our queens and make sure they get to be heard. And I'm going to take away the queen, because, everybody want to be a queen. You feel me? I'm an heiress. You can't take my crown off. You feel me? An heiress can't be decrowned. A queen can be decrowned. So when I'm speaking on, I'm talking about Big Mama, the matriarchs of the game. Mm-hmm. I'm a matriarch of this game. I'm watching this foolishness. I'm a not only matriarch of this game as a woman, because we're still talking on the woman content, but as a grandmother. I have 6 grandkids. They're teenagers. My kids in their 30s. I still look like I'm 30. This is the mouth that they want to shut up. They don't want us to talk because we got game. You know what I mean? Because we got wisdom. You know what I mean? And so they'd rather give the credit to a new person that got a kid, and bless Cardi B's heart. Matter of fact, I was pissed off about watching them run off stage okay, and not even hold her hand to make sure she didn't fall being pregnant like that. Now,
Mm.
you know what I mean? She's still a woman, she still was pregnant. That's a real baby in her stomach. You get what I'm saying? You see her hips was over the top, her body, whatever them surgeries and stuff that they'll be getting, it adds extra fat and this and that. And you could tell that she was hipped out, she was a lot bigger than she normally was. So, that means she was heavy on her heels. You know what I mean? And she could have fell off stage running off. That's not funny to me. That's the kind of stuff that I look at. So it's not, it's even though they're a part of that, they're not even getting respected at the end of the day. You know what I mean?
Wow.
And so, it's just so getting back to the content, you had your easy ease and folk and people, they was, bitch better have my money. So they were talking about women, it was a lot of that, Too Short, you had Too Short, he's the one that helped brand bitch, people love to be called bitches. He started it because what I don't want to get used to doing is I do not want people to think they just discovered that. The new folks think that this is not new, what they're doing. This is what I keep going back to is everything that they're doing today was already done. The problem that I have is it's just it's an area in which why does hip hop have to always feel like they're stuck and not evolving? Why do we have to be used for everything? We're getting used for every agenda to be done. And the problem is that from that, it blocks the growth of us who want to grow, and it's not fair. So when you block the woman's voice, no one's saying they can't have that woman stuff because it is some women that act like that. You know what I mean? I've read across a few of them that I want to slap. It's it's some dudes that act like women. You know what I mean? It's some guys that that act a fool. And then you do got to smash on them. And I do believe in a man looking out and taking care of a woman. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't have it no other way. So there's certain content that makes sense. But the problem is when it's not balanced and there's not other conversations going on. Now you just building up these same folk and this same type of energy, and there's no other energy here to balance it out for the other side of the game that's not consistent, that's not always, it's not always like that. And that's the problem. And then it's the problem of us following it, us just being okay with trying to be like it, and us who are glorifying it. And now you got us who want to be it. Now everybody want to be a rapper, and it's just, it's a lot.
That's a good point that you make. And I think it's important to emphasize that point. And everybody, by the way, hit the thumbs up button. Take 1 second, please hit the thumbs up button and welcome our guest. Our guest is Suga T from the Click, from the Bay Area. Her family is extraordinary. E-40, Be Legit, they all in the same family. I didn't know Be Legit was her cousin, but that makes sense now. They just all that talent. And I want y'all to learn from this family because they think a certain way. And you picked up on it in the music, but it's great to hear it directly from you. Now your point about balance, I think, is probably the best point to make. And I want to make sure everybody hears, because sometimes I'm not balanced in my message. People hear me screaming and howling about certain things, and I'll get calls from friends that are rappers who will say, Doc, we don't want people to think that you hate all the rappers. And I'm like, I don't hate all the rappers. I got a lot of friends that are rappers. You a rapper, you my friend. And what I realize is that sometimes when you talk about what's wrong, people they miss the message, especially when you got people that will deliberately misinterpret the message, right? Because they want to throw us off. They don't want us hearing certain voices. So they'll say, oh, that guy, he's just hating, or he hates young people, and he hates rappers. None of that's true. That balance piece that you mentioned, to me, that's critical, because to me, an artist is somebody that has a range. Artist means you can express a wide range of emotions, a wide range of experiences. It means also that you get the opportunity to evolve. You're not trying to be a 50-year-old teenager. It ain't cool. It looks stupid. And even when you were talking about, you brought to my attention, and I'd love for you to drill down on this even more. But when you hit me up and you mentioned just how the hip hop community kind of left behind so many great women that still have a lot of excellent, like you were flowing your lyrics, a lot of talent, a ton of miles in the tank, a ton of great work that they are still doing, and we're not paying attention to any of that. That made me say, that's fucked up. That's really terrible. And it makes me actually even think about, and I started thinking more about the culture, right?
Sure.
And so let me tell you, when I got married, when I chose to marry my wife, I remember it was real weird. Alicia and I are just still utterly fascinated by how many people became obsessed with what we were doing as a married couple, right? The good and the bad. The good was great, but then you'd have people that literally almost were angry that I chose to, one thing they were angry about was that I chose to marry a woman who was in her 40s. They were like, you could have had a young blah blah blah, but you married this, and I'm like,
what you mean, man? Because she was in her 40s, because she was older, or because she was younger? What do you mean?
Because she was my age, right? So there were some guys, like literally guys who were misled into thinking that there's no value. Like, why would anybody marry a woman in her 40s? I'm like, you don't understand, bro. Like you know what it is when you're little when you're a little bit of a public figure. I meet women everywhere. I could have dated young. I could have dated middle. I could have dated old. The range was there. The opportunity was there. No shortage of that. I wanted a grown ass woman. Like I saw the value, right? And I was like, what are y'all talking about? I could have dated a younger woman. I did not want to. Because there is a tremendous amount of value when you have a grown, intelligent woman next to you who is an excellent advisor, because she can stop you from falling victim to your own bullshit. Like you need somebody that's going to balance you. So you get some. Don't get me wrong. No disrespect to the young, pretty, whatever you want to call them. But it's like I think that really speaks to what you were talking about in terms of the fact that we as a society have stopped really valuing our matriarchs.
Yes,
and that's my point. We stopped valuing the idea that you need the grown ass women and the grown ass men to regulate the community, because everybody's out here acting like a goddamn child.
Man, that's real talk. Absolutely, Royce. And that was a very wise decision. This is the problem, unfortunately, the ignorant ones. And I hope them people that complain to you or fussed about it or whatever, I'm talking to you now, baby. It's some bad chicks out here that's OGs, that's looking just like me. You see me? I'm cute, huh? And guess what? I got all that the youngins is paying for. It is all natural. You understand what I'm talking about? And I'm married too. Don't get me wrong. So I'm not being malicious, flirting, trying to invite nobody. You understand? Raised 2 generations, sweetie. My grandkids is in there, and I refuse to sit down. I'm gonna make sure the world continue to see women like me, because that's the problem. You know what I mean? It is a lot of washed up older women, but honey, this is the problem. This is the people that's behind. This is where they're standing stagnate. These people that are looking to only focus. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the younger women. No, it's not. But unfortunately, since we're bringing them up, these younger women want to compete with us. They don't have no respect for us. Okay. And they ain't got that. And we will run circles around them. That's the thing. I mean, I'm talking about circles around them, but we're humble. We're not like the older women, the big mama and them that our mama's age, that want to make sure that they knew that we was younger than them, and that they, control, and they was in charge and didn't let us be a mouthpiece. We've been very open to being good to the younger generation and being open to want to give you guys things, and you have no respect for us. So you know what I've been doing lately? If they don't ask for something, I go like this. You can pay me, and I'm gonna watch you bump your head a few times since you think you all that. You know what I mean? It ain't just your looks that's gonna get you nowhere. It's your game that's gonna get you somewhere. And that's the problem, is a lot of these men is stuck on the looks, and then they pay for it later. You know what I mean? So the wise man want a matriarch. The wise man, not saying that a young woman, you shouldn't have one in terms of you younger people that's dating young people, but you got to know what you're going to get. When you get young, you get an experience. When you get older, you get a general. So which one you want? You want a kid? Then get your kid. A lot of people, believe it or not, want a kid, because a lot of these people are molesters anyway. They want to molest. They probably molested kids when they was younger. They're probably don't even come on. They probably was young kids, because they ain't got no business going after these young girls anyhow. Anyway, that's a whole nother conversation. But the bottom line, you see, and a lot of them is intimidated because they got their own insecurities, okay? And they got issues, and they're still in a paradigm. So that's their way of building up their self to feel like they bigger than what they are. You know what I mean? So they go after the weak. If you want me to keep talking, you prey on the weak, okay? Because that's what a younger woman is compared to an older woman. You understand what I'm saying? They're weaker than the older woman in most cases, and they're weaker than the man that's the older age than this younger woman. So it's really terrible, to even have that process. And I'm happy you brought that up. And so I'm telling you all out there that's doing that, think about it that way. And that's a different view of this thing. In terms of
Mhm.
having a matriarch, you need a matriarch. That's the problem now. You know what I mean? Big Mama ain't
Mhm.
speaking up in this game. These folks are sitting here doing any and everything with no boundaries. Ain't nobody saying nothing. The older men is sitting there having fun on the TV. Those are gatekeepers. A lot of these older guys are gatekeepers that can support us, and they don't. You know what I'm saying? They do not say, let me go get my queen of the game and come pick her up and move her into a position, or, make sure everybody know where I came from, or, or who held me down, or who represent for my camp. You know what I mean? A lot of
Mhm.
these older rappers need to be doing that with us, with all of us, not just allowing 3 rapper females to be seen. It's always Salt and
Mhm.
Pepper, or, Queen Latifah, bless her heart. I love Queen Latifah. That's my sister. She showcased me. She did the right thing. VH1 honor. She made sure people knew that I was a West Coast pioneer of all time and gave me my respect. And they endorsed me. Did the right thing. You get what I'm saying? There's
Mhm.
other women who they're constantly putting in front of the game. Just a few. But then the rest of us, they don't do nothing. And see, the East Coast, as you know, they have a different mentality. The mentality, they don't seem to be as intimidated by the women getting in front. You get what I'm saying? Or
Mhm.
they don't seem to be as controlling. Now they got
Mhm.
their other stuff going on, and that's a whole nother show. But the bottom line is, they let their girls shine. They're still making sure they women shine. The ones over here on the West, they got us sitting down somewhere washing dishes. So
Mhm.
if you don't fend for yourself, when it comes down to that, the older women, if you don't fend for yourself and figure it out and have to make things happen for yourself. See, I own a record label, so I've been able to maintain. You know what I mean? But when I became conscious of who I was and who my people, how important it is that that we don't continue to add to this slavery, because that's what this whole thing is about. This is modern day slavery, and it's using hip hop, to enslave the people. Everybody's got their agenda. You got your bottom feeders that want to be a part of it, that ain't got nothing to do with the elite that's over here pulling and trying to get something from it and take advantage of people. You got your middle class that's selfish and they fearful, and they could be doing stuff to help balance this thing out, and they won't because they haven't grown up, the older men. You know what I mean? And they're telling you, I don't want to be a role model, half of them, but we
Mhm.
making them our role models. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But my beef is if you don't want to be a role model, holler at some of us. Give us a little
Mhm.
push. Look out for us. Let people know we still around. Y'all know y'all done conditioned everybody to feel like they got to be endorsed by a man, or you got to be selling your butt. We're not interested in selling our butt and talking about our kitty cat all the time. You know what I mean? Been there, done that. We know our kitty cat good. We don't have to tell everybody. You know what I mean? We ain't got to talk about that. We got a whole lot more to talk about than just that. You feel? Oh my God, it's
Well,
terrible. If I hear somebody, I was listening to a beat and it was banging. And I was like, if I hear, soon as I heard it full time talking about kitty cat, I said, I can't take it no more. It's just sad that that's where we're resulting to. And that's the representation of the women that they're allowing, to supplement the game, in hip hop, to showcase to the world that this is the only type of woman that's in this game. I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with the women that do it. Y'all do y'all thing. If that's how shallow and that's what you want to talk about, to me, it's old. It's played out. I feel like you know what I mean? And I'm not going to apologize, because every time somebody talk about this, they want somebody to apologize. I'm not apologizing. It is elementary. This stuff that Cardi B, bless her heart, love her little, she's so cute. Her little stuff. I was mad they didn't hold her hand on stage. That bothered me. You know what I mean? She could have really slipped, lost her baby, and hurt herself. Them guys should have came out. Ain't no TV that important that y'all not looking out for a life. She's still alive. They should have went and made sure she got off that stage comfortably. You know what I mean? That I
Mhm.
was annoyed when I seen that. If you go back through the footage, you'll see it. And then, but see,
Mhm.
unfortunately, when we sit up and when we present these images and act like them, they forget that we're them kind of women that's still tender and need to be held down
Mhm.
like that. Then you got your bless her heart Cardi, how she got shot in the foot and went through that whole little thing. She out
Oh,
there.
you mean Megan Thee Stallion? Now she got shot by
Thank
Tory
you.
Lanez, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that whole little thing. Poor baby, I want to take her and hold her in my arms. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Because I got shot before. I understand that. And I know there was a whole nother story behind that. But the bottom line is, these are our sisters still, and they should be told to respect us. They should be told, and they should want them to be mentored by us so we can hold on to them and give them the female side of this thing, because we've been around here long enough to see it, and we're still here. I'm still relevant. I told y'all my 20th album. You know what I mean? 5 group albums and a host of all kind of content and all kind of stuff. And and been running my own movement for quite a while. Record label, fragrance, owner, production company, inspired by Madam C.J. Walker. Since 2006, I own a nonprofit. I help women, you know, who basically are the ricochet of our foolishness and continuously putting the same messages out here to make them make bad decisions because of the conditioning and them falling prey to this understanding and this value system. You know what I mean? Getting distracted by all of this and not getting no real wisdom. And then some, not listening to the elders and respecting the game, because they looking at what is bigger than us on TV and they face every second. It's basically entertainment that they taking serious, so it's a lot,
I'll tell you what, and everybody who's watching, I'm talking to Suga T. You all should know her. She's a Bay Area legend and has a brilliant and talented family. And everybody hit the thumbs up button. Please hit the thumbs up button. I want to ask, people can follow you, Suga T Official on Instagram. Is that correct?
Yes, Suga T, Instagram, SUGAT. Yep, if you just put in Suga T, Sugar-T, you'll find it. Oh yeah, that's right. That's Suga T Official is on YouTube.
And then YouTube. Mm-hmm. Okay. You know what?
Too. You can follow there, and everything is there too. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna make sure people follow you on YouTube because I definitely want to support your platform. And I started following you on Instagram, and actually I think a good way to a good party note, and I'm gonna let you get the last word for sure, because I'm loving hearing you talking about your journey and your wisdom. Your family has really been inspirational to millions of people. I know that I was one of the people that was inspired. I remember all the music all the way back, to the beginning. And one of the things I remember noticing very early in the game was that you and your brother talked a lot about things that related to ownership and entrepreneurship. Even to this day, I know that your brother E-40, even in his last song, Mobbin', I think it's what it's called, he talks about making his own products and his own businesses and being the first millionaire in my family tree. Then he did another song with T.I. I forgot what it's called, but Stand On It, where he talks about I make my own products. And this has been a consistent theme. I remember the concept that came from you and your family about how you can't get dropped from a label if you own the label. And I remember a song, They'll Find a New Nigga Next Year, which I've recited that 1,000 times. Every rapper that calls me, I get calls from a lot of rappers. Every time I just tell them they're going to find a new nigga next year. And I got that from your family's ideology. And so can you talk about two things? I'm asking you, and I'm going to zip up and let you do all the talking on this. One, tell us about your family culture when it comes to that entrepreneurial thinking. Because you've been able to remain relevant for a very long time without getting white people or anybody's permission. And I love that. Number two, talk about your empire, Suga T's empire, the products you have, the work that you're doing, all the things that people should know about Suga T, in addition to the fact that she's still an extraordinary rapper. Go ahead.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Yeah, we were the first, millionaire family in hip hop. The Click, my brother E-40 and D-Shot, and my cousin Be Legit. Definitely the first millionaires, signature, first way co-venture deal signed with Jive. We were the first family that went gold before radio, before internet, on our own. And then eventually we collaborated with Jive Records and continued to keep a certain amount of ownership. And that was we were the first family that was able to accomplish that, and the first hip hop group that was able to accomplish that. And so we continued to move in that mindset. We've always been very independent minded, only because we had family that was a part of this whole movement that carried this down to us to understand the system of independence, and ownership. So again, my father, he was a musician, but he chose to work to make sure he kept the week. He was our father. We were raised in 2 homes, my father's home and my mother's home. And so in that was the part of what helped us out, is seeing him go to work and come home, go to work, come home and work. We've only seen work. That's all we know is work. My mother wasn't the type to let us sit around. My mother she worked, and she also, had her own business and her hustles on the side, 2 and 3 hustles, you know what I mean? Up to date. And so that's all we've seen in our life was hustling. You know what I mean? We've seen it from the perspective of the streets, and we've seen it from the perspective of the commercialized industry. You know what I mean? So we have had a well-rounded experience of understanding what it takes to get you where you need to get to and to be able to control your own environment. You know what I'm saying? And so in that, we continue to walk that place. We all independently have our own spaces. We all have, as individuals, we've been able to, to have our own individual things going on that interest us. I just so happen to be more interested in the community. I was the first person out the whole group. I was the first person who had a product line. I was the first person who outside of the music product line, I was the first person who launched products. I was the first person who knew to carry stuff in my pocket and sell it along the way. I was the first. So the woman was one of the main influences that pushed this envelope, because we're able to multitask, you know what I mean, in a whole different way a lot of times. And so because of that, it enabled me to have that kind of a flexibility. And so I was the first person in my family that got a deal with Hanson's Beverage Company. I was the first brand ambassador. I landed a deal, a brand ambassador deal with them. Didn't know what the heck I was doing, but I knew something was going to work out, and I made it. Then I was the first person this was before education, y'all, okay? I was also the first person in my family who got degrees, master's degrees, and completed school and education. I was the first person in my family who also became a grandmother. Okay, I was the first person in my family who also was able to get on a
let me jump in and ask you this. I just want to ask you this real quick, and I'm gonna mute myself again. How many kids and grandkids? Just out of curiosity.
I have 6 grandkids, and I have 2 children and 4 that I helped raise.
I love it. Please go ahead, Queen Mother. Keep speaking.
I was the first one who got divorced. Let me not just talk about the good stuff, okay? Okay. Yes, thank you. And I also was the first person who got on the sitcom, the MTV Lyricist Lounge sitcom. I got on the big screen in that fashion. So my point of saying that is, women, without us, we're the light. So it's kind of interesting, because a lot of times when we're on the side of men and we're a part of the man establishment, which I love my brothers, I love the men, but unfortunately we often get overshadowed, because a lot of times we don't believe in ourselves as women to realize that without the woman, a lot of things will not get accomplished. You know what I mean? And we played quite a part in these groups, in these super groups. We were the first ladies of these super groups. Me, Yo-Yo, Rage, all of us first lady women that was in these groups played a major part. So what I want to see, in the future, is I want to see these brothers come back and get us. And remember that we're around here, that you're seeing out here moving around. You seeing them out in front of the camera. They need to come back and get us, because they let this thing get conditioned like this, to whereas they need to come back and say, hey, she's still around. Okay. So I'm looking at that to happen, because that could change the game if our brothers get mature. Now, in between this time, I've built a whole enterprise. The enterprise consists of a fragrance company, and we are a non-traditional fragrance company. Our fragrance products, we support and we take social responsibility and give support to different populations, starting with domestic violence, because I started the product line during a domestic violence relationship and in my reinvention. A proportion of that story is told in a book that I wrote called Your Perfume. It's a woman's guide to help her discover a new scent of success, reinvent her brand, and a sprinkle of tips to help her better navigate through challenging times. As you know, with reinvention comes challenges. So I've had to do that several times, in order to stand my ground and make sure that I was able to sustain and deal with things within my own life. So that is one book. I also wrote a book called Boss Up, which is an entrepreneurship guide. I wrote that book, and you can find that one on Amazon or in my store, sprinklemeboutique.com. Again, sprinklemeboutique.com. All these products that we're talking about is in this store, and that's my online specialty boutique. I also wrote a book called Work It, and it's 50 to New 30. That's one of my latest ones. Okay, so that is encouraging people who dealing with ageism, who stop believing in themselves, who think age is a curse and not a blessing. I found a remedy and have been able to do life coaching and wellness and enterprise coaching with these groups of people through these years that I was able to, use my gifts to reactivate and get them comfortable and embracing their ageism, their hurts, their traumas, their failures, their successes, and their life's, experiences, and look at them in a blessing and walk in purpose, prosperity, and peace. So the work it factor, I wrote the book to try to give that formula to many and make it available along with a coaching course, a workout live on a regular basis. Again, a workout live, a live workout where I work out a couple days a week live with people who come into my course. I own an online school where you could find all this information, Sprinkle Me Learning Academy. So we do the class called Working Live with Suga T. So if you go to sprinklemelearningacademy.com, you'll find that and be able to get into the course and get activated to my live classes. Now, all of this information is a lot. You can go to one site and get to this stuff at thesugarrush.com. thesugarrush.com. And that's where you can get all the stuff I'm talking about. Just go right down the page and get to everything. Lastly,
did I spell it right on the screen?
You got it perfect. That is perfect. Thank you. Good job. And then lastly, I'm the executive director of the Work It Well Project. And what we do is we embrace vulnerable populations, those who are left behind, underserved, underrepresented, and help keep them from falling through the cracks. That's our main service. Men and women, the SOS, Save Our Sisters, and the SOB, which is Save Our Brothers. Then we have a host of programs that support different populations. So we have programs that get moms, young mothers, and reentry mothers all back on their feet who have children, in position to get back into the workplace, in the viable workplace, where they're actually able to make viable incomes that gives them sustainability and allow them to stay, amongst the general population and not have to be pushed off in some area because they can't afford the gentrified areas anymore. So we introduce them to those opportunities. We also have mentoring programs for young girls. We support the autistic community, the Amazing Moms program, where parents of children with autism. I am an overall autism advocate. I have a granddaughter who's autistic that was inflicted with autism after she got the shot. Okay, the booster shot.
Whoa! Oh, yeah. Really?
She got that shot.
I heard that those shots are that autism spiked, and it could be related to the shots. Is that something you believe?
Yes, indeed. Absolutely. So I represent over 200 mothers, and at least 80% of them have the same story. After a whole bunch of research, my granddaughter's 12 now, one of my granddaughters, I watched her turn autistic after the shot. She was not born like that. I watched her, and the only reason why I watched was because I was so excited about her and my other granddaughter, who's only 2 months apart from her. They were on the same development stage, but after she had that shot, her developmental, it left behind. It was delayed. So I seen that happen, and I seen her go into space and look all over the place. So it was the reaction from the shot. Her chemistry could not take the shot, whatever was in there. And this is basically, so, I'll be a fool to go against the medical industry, right? What I'm saying is that the vaccine, her chemistry, a lot of these people's chemistry can't take that type of vaccine. And after having it, they all have these kind of reactions that turned into developmental delays, and they put it on the autism spectrum. Some come out of it, some were more severely impacted than others. You know what I mean? And so my granddaughter is severely impacted. It's a struggle for these mothers. I know other mothers who children were severely impacted, and it's so serious. So, I ask people to support me, go and donate, to my organization, because we provide wellness coaching. We try to find resources that's outside of the traditional commercial system. That's not always the answer, unfortunately, because there's politics involved with that. And we also make sure that we try our best to be able to inspire these mothers, and bring awareness that this is a suffering community. In a lot of Black moms, there's 1 out of 58 children who are autistic and that will have autistic. So this is not just the beginning of it. You know what I mean? There's more to come, and everyone's going on this one spectrum. But again, we have a poster child autism that they're using, which is not the best example to me. Not saying that they're not impacted, but the poster child autistic child is the one that has been fixed and can maintain and still live by themselves. A lot of times they're Ashburgers more so, as a part of that spectrum. But there is a whole nother part of this spectrum that's not being presented to the world, where these families are suffering with their children, where they can't leave them for 1 second, where they are 24/7 home with them, where they, clean up every time they eat, they clean up. It's to a point where half of them can't even, sit and watch a Zoom school. So you out there complaining about Zoom schooling and all that, at least your child can sit down on his own and watch it. You know what I mean? There's children that can't even sit still long enough to get no Zoom. There's some children that will never do academics. You know what I mean?
Wow.
And they'll never be able to be on their own ever. This is a lifetime, condition for these families. So I just want you guys to really, be passionate, and I want to encourage you that's complaining and think you got it hard as a parent. You have this is nothing compared. Your life is nothing. Even if you have a disabled child, some of these parents say they wish their children was retarded, okay, versus autism. You understand what I'm saying? Because that's the difference, because the mentally retarded children have certain delays, but they could still understand things. You get what I'm saying? And they still can operate a different way. But these children who are severely autistic, they are gone. You know what I mean? I mean, they could be in a room and they're just screaming. You don't know what the screaming is about. So now you have the whole house impacted, and you watching your child suffer and don't know what to do, and then you got everybody else is watching it. And so it's just a big mess. You know what I mean? So, you who out there that got children with autism, please feel free to come and sign up with our program. We are here to inspire you. We love you. We appreciate you. And we understand the struggle. You know what I'm saying? And I've been able to really support my sisters, the moms, and of course they support those who have families. It's not exiting them, but the women, we have the bulk of information. We have the bulk of a lot of things that come to us that, that is more than the average woman. Because as a real woman, she got to cook, clean, wash, people say that women shouldn't cook, clean, and wash. You should. You need to hold your household down. Okay. So I don't care what you see on TV about this strong woman and, drop the ball and no, baby. If you want to keep your man, you better cook. Okay. And kitty cat don't be enough after so long, because they can get kitty cat from anywhere. You understand? It all feel the same after so long. And then you sit online and it could fall right in their lap, kitty cat. All they got to do is turn on Instagram and see all them sites. Okay. Anyway.
Wow, that's some realistic advice, and I love it. And I as a man, I will say that I definitely agree. And my woman can cook her butt off, and that's a test, because she got a nice butt, but that wouldn't be enough. That wouldn't be enough to keep me. I think we got to eat at some point, and I think
right. Look, and she can have a conversation. Okay.
Yeah.
Alone is sometimes better than having sex. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I really think everybody needs to get advice from people that know what the hell they're talking about. I see people that get that bad relationship advice on the internet, or you get poor women that think that they have to compete on one area only. And it's like, no, it takes a whole lot of components to make a quality woman. It ain't just who's got the nicest body or the prettiest face, and I wish a lot of young people were told this, but there's a lot more we could talk about. I'm gonna have you back, and I love talking to you, Suga T. I think that you are phenomenal, and I hope everybody else agrees. If everybody in here could give her a digital thank you, a digital round of applause, as appreciation for her giving her time to come to the platform. Her website is thesugarrush.com. That is right there on the screen, thesugarrush.com. And of course, you can go there to the Sugar Rush to support all the charities she mentioned, be involved with all the business classes, everything she's doing. And also, if you want to support the platform, you go to intelligentblackpeople.com as well. So thank you very much, Suga T. And follow her at Suga T Official on YouTube. So follow her YouTube channel. You can see how entertaining she is. And I want to say thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, Dr. Boyce, and thank you for your good work. And give your wife a hug for me.
I will. I definitely. She's right in the other room, so I'm gonna go hug her right now. And I'm gonna tell her how great this interview was, and
All right.
I know she's gonna love it because she is a fan of you and your family also. So God bless you. I look forward to talking to you soon. So, everybody, take care. Have a great day. Thank you for hanging out with us, and Sugar, you take care too, and I'll talk to you as well.
All right. Peace and
All right.
blessings.